I'm very worried that the Israelis are going to attack Iran again. I'm worried that the Israelis aren't going to respect the deal that appears to be in process in Gaza or the West Bank. I mean, we're not talking about the West Bank,
right?
Where just 2 weeks ago a Christian village ceased to exist because settlers from New Jersey took all their houses. You know what happens next in the West Bank?
From New Jersey?
Yeah, there are a lot of synagogues in New York, New Jersey, Toronto that have these things called real estate seminars, where you can put your name on a list, and then they call you and say, "Hey, house just opened up over here in this Arab village that's not Arab anymore. Come and take your house." And 2 weeks ago, the village that the Israelis cleared out was one of the last remaining Christian villages. Drives me crazy.
Wow. So, what do you think their overall strategy is? They eventually want to just take over all of Palestine.
I think we should believe the Israelis when they tell us that they believe in greater Israel, which includes the West Bank, the Gaza Strip, the southern quarter of Lebanon, a strip in southwestern Syria. And, I mean, the map that Netanyahu had at the UN the other day included the Sinai Peninsula, for heaven's sake. What's that all about? They took the Sinai in the 1967 war and gave it back after the Camp David Accords. So this, yeah, I'm worried about Israel. Yeah.
Are you worried about Israel's influence on American politics? Because that's one of the things that's coming to light over the last couple of years since the invasion, where people are paying more and more attention to Israel. And then also seeing what happens when you criticize Israel.
They are very quick to primary elected officials who criticize Israel, and usually they'll win those primaries. AIPAC is very well funded. It is very, very well organized. It's the gold standard of lobbying organizations. I've never understood why AIPAC doesn't have to register as a foreign agent with the Justice Department when everybody else does. Why is AIPAC special that it doesn't have to register? You know, back in 2008, I guess it was, I won a very small contract to write, it was like 6 op-eds for the Abu Dhabi Chamber of Commerce. And it was because I was going to write op-eds that supported American business in Abu Dhabi, right? So I had to go on FARA.gov, FARA.gov. It's the Foreign Agents Registration Act. And there's a form there. And I said, yeah, I took, I won this contract. It was like $30,000 to write these 6 op-eds. And the source of the income is the Abu Dhabi Chamber of Commerce. And here's my name and my address and my phone number. Enter. Done. I registered. So if you're doing something, anything, on behalf of a foreign government, you have to register. Except if you're AIPAC. And I just don't understand that.
That seems so insane. And whenever you see like just dozens of senators and Congress people going over to Israel, you're like,
oh man, my very first week in the Senate Foreign Relations Committee staff, these lobbyists came in. It was a parade of lobbyists all the time, every day. They're coming in asking for something. So these 2 guys came in, could not have been any friendlier. Hi, welcome to Capitol Hill. I said, oh, thanks. It's not my first go-round. I've worked on Capitol Hill before. Well, we wanted to welcome you with an all-expenses-paid trip to the Holy Land. I said, thanks. No. I can pay for my own vacations, but I appreciate it. Oh, nonsense. We'll take you to all the Christian holy sites. Thank you. I've been. I don't want to go. And some of my colleagues went for their all-expenses-paid trip to the Holy Land, courtesy of AIPAC. I was like, yeah, no, thank you. Not interested.
Yeah, and that's just the beginning of it. That's nothing compared to helping out your campaigns.
Well, I'll tell you, I tell this story a lot, but I think it's appropriate here. I had been at the agency for 2.5 months, maybe. About 2.5 months. And I was told to give my very first liaison briefing. So this is going to be the Israeli Mossad and Shin Bet. And I was going to be one of about 8 analysts, and I was the most junior, so I would go last. Well, we don't allow the Israelis into CIA headquarters. We used to, but every time they would come, they'd say, hey, we brought gifts. Here's a gift for you. And it's all packed full of listening devices and batteries. And
every one of them?
Every one of them. And we'd say, you guys, you can't come back here every single time and try to bug our conference rooms.
What'd they say to that?
Oh, sorry. Well, we're not sure how that happened. So we're like, yeah, you can't come in here anymore. So we rent an office where we meet the Israelis off campus.
Wow.
Yeah, because you just can't trust them. So
that is so crazy.
We go to this briefing, and it's just 2 people. It's a woman who was the Mossad officer and an older guy who was the Shin Bet officer. So because we were all overt, we were giving our true names. And first, the senior political officer gives her briefing, and then the econ guy, and the military guy, and the oil guy, and finally it comes around to me. So I said, my name is John Kiriakou, and I'm going to brief you on Saddam Hussein's current psychology. And the Shin Bet guy goes like this. He goes, spell your name? So I spell it, and he writes it down, and he's looking at me over his glasses, and he goes, you are Jewish? And I said, I am not recruitable. Don't even think about trying to recruit me. Afterwards, I was furious. I went back to the office. My boss said, how did it go? I said, that son of a gun, Shin Bet guy tried to recruit me. Everybody started laughing. I said, why is that so funny? And he said, they've done that to every single one of us. It's like they can't help themselves.
It's crazy how effective it is, though.
Oh, yeah. Look at Jonathan Pollard. Now he's running for the Knesset. Bastard.
It's just crazy how much influence one country has.
Yeah, it really is.
On a much bigger country.
Much bigger. And they have such a tiny population.
I know. What is it, like 9 million people?
Yeah.
Pretty gangster. It's pretty gangster.
Kudos.
Right?
Kudos
really
to them.
It's like Chicago taking over the world.
That's right.
Right?
And saying, we're going to do things our way.
Not even Chicago. Chicago might have more people.